Hi everyone, welcome to the second section of round 1 of the Word Masters Challenge. Today we're going to talk about words 13 through 25. I'm going to try to pick it up a little bit and speed up the pace to give you all the essential information as quickly as possible. Make sure that you pause after each word to create a flashcard that has the word, parts of speech, the definitions, and that uses the word in a detailed sentence, okay? We really want to build on that skill of using the vocabulary in really good detailed sentences with context clues. Our first word is martinet. And a martinet is basically a noun that means a strict disciplinarian. So someone usually referring to like a military personnel who is really, really strict and serious when it comes to discipline and giving out punishments. Those of you who are fans of the Harry Potter movie might think of Professor Umbridge as one who was a martinet. Another way of looking at that word is also a noun, but it's someone who always follows the rules, no matter how stubborn or how silly they may seem. For example, if you're ever quietly talking in a library and someone in the librarian tells you, shh, this picture here is a good indication of what a martinet might be in that sense. Recollect is one that you've probably heard before, and it is a verb, and there are two similar meanings. The first is to collect or gather or put together, and that's basically where you just kind of sit down and you recollect. You kind of put things together, you sit down, you calm yourself. In this picture here, this gentleman looks like he's kind of recollecting and thinking about his thoughts. You may also recollect when you kind of put pieces of a puzzle back together. It can also mean to recover or compose yourself. So after you've had a tough loss in a game, after you've got a bad quiz score, you got into a fight with your friend, you may need some time just to recollect yourself and just to kind of calm yourself down and compose yourself. And that might be what this girl's going through in this picture. Intemperate is a great adjective, and there are two ways that you can use it. The first is unrestrained, and that means basically nothing's holding you back and kind of your anger or your rage or whatever it is just comes out in full force. For instance here, when baseball managers get ejected, they very often become intemperate. And you can see here, this is Clint Hurdle going off on umpire Brian Gorman during a game last year. Another adjective means extremely severe, and it's usually describing climate. So for example, something that is really hot or really cold. Anywhere near the equator, you're dealing with intemperate weather. So weather that might be extremely hot, extremely humid. Again, make sure you're pausing after each word to fill out your flashcard. Quagmire. Now you probably know this after the Family Guy character, but there is a couple actual definitions here. The first is a noun that means a swamp-like area or a bog, and here's a picture of what might be like a quagmire. Any area where there's lots of dense forest and kind of swampiness around. The other noun is a difficult situation to get out of. For example, right now with the economy struggling and lots of unemployment, some people are in a financial quagmire, like this woman right here seems to be having difficulty paying her bills. So that's another way to use the word quagmire. Crave. Now this is another one you've probably heard before, and it has a couple meanings. Both of them are verbs. So first is to want greatly or desire, and this is probably what I look like on a Friday night when I've been good with my diet all week and I just crave a bacon cheeseburger from the 99. Another way to use it as a verb is to require or need. For instance, young children often crave attention, as you can see by this adorable yet crying baby right here. Young children often crave attention, they need attention. For example, sometimes in class if you see someone acting up, they may be acting out because they crave attention and they need someone to recognize them. Frivolous. Frivolous is a great word. It's an adjective that has 3 different definitions. The first is carefree or lacking in purpose. So we'll use our little smiley face to indicate that. Second is lacking in seriousness or silly. And the third is of little or no importance. For example, in the Hunger Games, many people who don't live in the capital feel like those in the capital dress in very frivolous clothes that have a lot of unnecessary garnishes, like the hat that Effie's wearing here, or the pin right there, and all the makeup. It just seems really frivolous. Another example is some people who aren't fans of Christmas lights complain that that their neighbors may go over the top with frivolous decorations. There's too much decorations that really lack a purpose. Protuberance is a noun, and basically what it means is, plain and simple, a projection or a bulge. If you get a bump on your head, that is a protuberance, as shown here. And an example here is on this guy's face. We can clearly identify that the nose is a protuberance. So plain and simple, it's something that projects out. It usually is usually used when referring to like a wound. Anticipate is a great one, and there are two ways to look at it as a verb. It's to expect or to predict, and it also means to complete a request before it's made. To expect or predict, you can see in this picture here, it looks like the defensive player right here is anticipating that the quarterback is getting ready to throw, and usually when defensive players do a good job of anticipating, they end up with an interception or a big defensive play. So when you anticipate something, you expect to predict. You can anticipate that you might get in trouble on the day report cards go home if you know you didn't do well. Another way of looking at anticipate is to complete a request before it's made. So for instance, if you are very mature and very adult and decide to take out the trash before the request is made of your parents, it earns you big brownie points, and then may even help you in upcoming holidays like Christmas or Hanukkah. Cavalier is a great word, and there are, first of all, it can be used as a noun, and noun pretty basically is knight-like or like a gentleman. Here's a video, or here's rather a picture of a gentleman introducing himself to a lady. Another adjective is hateful. Someone who has like a cavalier personality is kind of always really nasty. And you can also use it to describe careless. For example, a student who might be careless or cavalier in their studies might not do well and might make lots of silly mistakes, like the girl who got an F+ on this piece. Predator is another word that you've probably heard before. It is a noun, and it is something that exists by preying on others. And this word preying is important. It almost means taking advantage of. So for example, in this picture, the bully right here is the predator preying on the smaller kid. It can also be used in nature when talking about kind of the circle of life here. The shark is the predator, and the seal, who is about to be eaten, is the prey. Digress is a great word, and it's actually a great word because one of the things we want to avoid doing in our own writing is digressing. And when you digress, it is a verb, and it means to wander away from the main topic or purpose of speaking and writing. So it's basically when you get off track. And this comic strip kind of shows you a lot, and in the comic strip it says right here, the verdict in a moment. But first, I would like to say a word about my operation. So the foreman here, or the forewoman who's supposed to read the verdict, is getting a little off task because no one's there to listen to her recent surgical operation. They want to hear about the verdict. So when you digress, you kind of get off track. Judicious is a great word, and it is an adjective, and it's used to describe someone who is wise, or someone who the act of using good judgment to make decisions. For example, if budgets are tight, a lot of families are very judicious with how they spend their money, and there's a picture of coupons here to kind of show that. And oftentimes you want referees in your games that are very judicious. They have good judgment, they're wise, they make good decisions. And this is a picture of Bill McCreary, a recently retired NHL referee who is actually very good at that. Cavity is a noun, and it means a hollow space. Now, you're probably familiar with going to the dentist and hearing the word cavity, and here's kind of a gross picture that indicates what a cavity is, and you can see right there that there's a hollow space in the tooth. So a cavity is any thing that has a hollow space in it. So those are our 13 new words. Please remember to by now you should have gone through and made your flashcards with the word, the parts of speech, any definition that we've used, and an original sentence. These flashcards are due Thursday, and the quiz is Wednesday, the 5th of December. Thank you.